You know, every day I get up and I can look online and there's like a dozen or more new clothing lines who claim they are streetwear brands. And the fact of the matter is they really aren't. And people need to stop calling themselves streetwear brands and stop saying that they do streetwear. And I know people are going to say, oh, he's hating. There is a difference between hating and educating. And today I'm going to educate you on why you should stop calling yourself streetwear brands or stop labeling yourself as streetwear. So let's discuss next here on Making the Brand. What's up, everybody? Rob Norman here from Planet Brooklyn Academy, and this is Making the Brand, the series where I give you a little insight and knowledge on how to start a clothing line, and if you already have one, how to make it better. As always, please hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything we drop when it drops. So, right off the bat, I'm talking about streetwear not to, discourage anyone or, say I'm hating. I'm actually trying to educate you guys because I've been in this industry a long time and I've been in it long enough to know that what you're doing is not streetwear. I've been in this game before this iteration of streetwear began. So I've been in it way before that. And when I say iteration, there was streetwear before this version that you know of existed. And what it was before was nothing like this. So I've seen the birth of streetwear that we know today. And I know the difference. Plus, I've worked in the industry, I've worked at companies, I've interned at places, so I understand how actual fashion works. And the thing is that nowadays, because everybody and their mother can start a t-shirt line, everybody thinks they're a designer, but no one's actually worked in the industry to understand that there's more than just, creating a t-shirt or, putting something together. It's much deeper than that. And the reason why I say that you need to stop calling yourself streetwear brands or stop calling yourself streetwear is for two reasons. The first one is that you don't do streetwear. Streetwear is somewhere you go. It is a category, all right? You don't do streetwear, much like you don't do hip hop. In hip hop, you can do MCing, you can DJ, you can do graffiti, you can be a b-boy. You can do that in hip hop, but you don't do hip hop. Those are elements that are in hip hop. The same goes with streetwear. Streetwear is something you don't do, all right? In streetwear, you have sneaker culture, you have fashion, which a lot of people are doing in it. You have skateboarding, you have BMX. All that is part of the culture. But it's something you don't do. Also, if you think about sportswear companies, people who make gym clothing. They make gym clothing, but they are in the activewear category. So the same goes with this. When you are in the streetwear category, you don't do streetwear. That's a category. You are a designer. That's what you are. You're a designer. You're a clothing line. Be that. Stop trying to be streetwear because you can't be streetwear. Streetwear is too vague and too wide. Okay? Again, it's a category. It is not something you do, it's something you're in. You're in that category. So that's the first reason why people should stop calling themselves streetwear brands, because that's not what you are. You are a clothing company, you design t-shirts, you design denim, you do whatever it is in that category, but you're not the category itself. Now, if you think about brands who have been very successful in this category, think about 10 Deep, The Hundreds, Huff, Off-White. None of these brands ever called themselves streetwear. Just really think about that. They've never called themselves streetwear. What they have been are clothing companies who have designed what they believe the market wanted. And the consumer who is in the streetwear culture has gravitated towards those brands, which has made them into streetwear icons. But they've never called themselves that. When you look at a brand like Off-White, Off-White has transcended beyond just streetwear and gone into something I like to call street luxe. They've never pigeonholed themselves into being something that they weren't actually. They were just designing. They were doing creative things. And it just so happens that the people who gravitated towards it were people in streetwear, in the streetwear culture. So that's the first reason why you should not, really say that you do streetwear. Just say you're a designer. I design t-shirts. I design, baseball caps. I do this or that. But don't put yourself in that bubble saying that you do streetwear. Which leads me to my second reason of why people need to stop saying they do streetwear or they are a streetwear brand. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself. That's the worst thing you can do. So before streetwear, the precursor to this was urban. And the urban market, as some of you may be too young to remember, but you had brands like Echo and you had FUBU and all those brands. And they were from the urban market. And the urban market was in the early 90s and mid 90s was huge, much like streetwear is now. And again, everything was plentiful and money was flowing, and it was a great time to be in that market. Now, much like history, everything that has a high has a low or just disappears. Well, as urban started to fade out, urban went from being the hip word to being basically a dirty term. People didn't want to be classified as a urban brand. And if you were a designer and had a clothing line during that time, once urban started to fade out, people no longer wanted to be associated with that. So if you had a brand and you was trying to launch a new brand and a company knew you from what you did before, they said, oh, you did urban. Well, urban isn't hot anymore. And you're saying, well, I can design something else. They go, well, you're an urban brand. That's what you did, right? So they won't look at you to design something else. So a lot of designers that were in the urban markets at that time learned the hard way and weren't able to bounce back very easily. Many of them left the fashion industry because they just wasn't able to make that jump from urban into what was coming next, which was inevitably streetwear. But in between the transition, there was a gray period where, streetwear was trying to figure itself out, urban was dying, so people were starting to make switches and doing different things. Now, the main reason, again, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself is because you don't want that label. Because as great as streetwear is right now, at some point in time, it will fade. It will become something different. And labeling yourself a streetwear brand may not be good to your detriment in the long run. Because if you're always putting that out there that you're a streetwear brand and you're always putting that imagery into people's heads, that when the time comes and urban fades out or turns to something else and people say streetwear is dead, people are going to remember those brands who claimed they were streetwear brands. And the first thing they're going to do is X you out. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, there was a streetwear brand. Yeah, streetwear is dead. I'm not wearing their stuff no more. And you don't want that to happen. Case in point, during the urban market, Supreme existed, Stussy existed. They never claimed to be urban. They were just two cool clothing brands that were doing their thing in that market. And people were buying their stuff, same as they were buying, urban market stuff, but they never claimed to be that. They were just cool brands. Also, 10 Deep was in that pocket as well. And they were just doing cool stuff. When urban died, Stussy stayed around, Supreme, as you guys know, stayed around, 10 Deep stayed around. Because again, they never put themselves in that box of being considered urban. They were just clothing companies who did good stuff. So when the transition came and the purge of getting rid of all urban brands, they were able to transcend and move on into the next phase of fashion, which became streetwear. And they continue on into that. Now, if you notice, again, you never hear Stussy call themselves streetwear brands. You never heard Supreme ever say they were a streetwear brand. Everyone else calls them streetwear brands, but they've never said that. And they've been able to elevate from that. And that's what you guys want to be able to do. You want to be able to elevate. So you want to cater to certain people, do it with your designs. Cater to a streetwear market with your designs. If you're doing denim, you can look at what the streetwear market is doing and incorporate that into your design to make it fit a streetwear aesthetic, but you don't have to say you're a streetwear brand. Because again, when the time comes and you have to start to change with the times, because it's just the nature of the beast. Everything changes with time. But if you're able to morph with the times, you'll be fine. So you can easily just change your fit or design in your clothing brand. You don't have to rebrand yourself. If you keep yourself as just a clothing company that does good stuff, when the time comes, all you have to do is change your designs, update your designs. Your consumer will stick with you, as they have done with Supreme and Stussy and 10 Deep and Huff. They will do the same with you. So this is why I say, don't label yourself as an urban brand. Don't call yourself, I said urban, I'm sorry. Don't claim yourself to be a streetwear brand or I do streetwear. No, someone asks you what you do. Hey, I do t-shirts. I do athletic gear. Just so happens that it caters to a streetwear market. That's the best way to answer that. And your designs will do that. And again, in the long run, this will help you because again, when everything comes, and it will happen, streetwear will reach a point where it will pivot and it will go into something else. And it may not happen in the next 2 years or 5 years or maybe even 10 years, but it will happen. If you are able to build yourself to be just a clothing brand, then you will be successful and you will have longevity in the game. Again, if you look at a lot of brands outside of this streetwear category, if you look at Ralph Lauren and all those other type of brands, they've been around for decades. And why is that? Because they were just brands and they had their own concept of what their brand should be about and they designed into that and they stuck with that. And generations have stuck with them behind that. Always look at that. When I see a lot of people start companies and people come to me and talk to me about them wanting to start a line and they have the sight of what they want to do, but you can't just think about tomorrow. You need to think ahead about where you see your brand in 5 years, in 10 years. That's what you want to design for. You don't want to design for the next season. You want to design for the next decade. Where do you see yourself? And that will help you stretch your brand and really make your brand more established than just saying you're this category and giving yourself the title of a category. All right? So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. And again, I hope that cleared things up. I know you guys are out there thinking I was about to just crap all over streetwear and everybody out there trying to be a streetwear brand. But again, I wasn't trying to hate, I was trying to educate. And I want to educate you guys on what to do to keep yourself staying in the game. So even if you just started a t-shirt line, and that's what you're doing, trust me, you can eventually grow into doing bigger and better things besides just t-shirts. But always keep in mind where you're trying to be and where you're trying to go. All right, so that's it for this episode. I will catch you guys on the next one. As always, we drop new episodes every week. So look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.